It is a week until Christmas. Well, I hope you are enjoying this season. We are going to get into this video today with really fun Christmas trees, wet on wet, wet on dry. If you have been running around, not having a lot of time to create, me too. So let's get into something fun, easy, and we can even put it to good use for the holiday season. Let's paint together. Hi everyone, well, welcome to a Christmas-inspired YouTube Paint With Me painting party today. We're calling it a painting party. It's almost Christmas. It's a week before Christmas. We are kind of going into hopefully you're going into the party mode, but just more of the fun stuff, the baking, the creating, all the things. Hopefully your packages are nearly mailed. I know I've got a few more to mail, but I thought it'd be fun. If it is crazy for you, it's been a very busy month, right? It's busy normally without Christmas. So if it's busy for you and you just have a few minutes for some creativity to calm down, breathe in the season, this is the Paint With Me session for you today, because we are going to be just doing some little trees. And this was actually inspired by, this is the Country Living British edition. Not that I know anyone at the Country Living American edition, but I'm not as much of a fan as the US, but I really love British edition Country Living. This is their collection, and they just do things differently. A lot of focus on greenery and whatnot, inspired things and all of their issues. But they had come up with these watercolor Christmas cards with the wet on wet Christmas trees, and I thought, this would be fun to play with. Now, we're not going to be so wet on wet with ours, and we're going to do things a little bit differently because there's not as much control with wet on wet, and I like to have just a little bit more control. But I love the idea of having the tree as our focus with like a lot of white around it. But I didn't want to do cards per se. I wanted to make just trees, and then I could add them to my cards, because what I have been doing is I had a bunch of holiday scrapbook paper, basically, and I was creating cards out of the scrapbook paper. I have friends who do them fancy. I don't. I just cut out the size of the envelope. I cut out my card, but I thought it would be fun to put on my little watercolor trees. So that's what I started doing. I thought this would be a fun project, but it's very, very applicable. That's not the right word. It is interchangeable. That's the word. If you wanted to make name tags, if you just wanted to paint trees, if you wanted to make them as gift tags even, or name tags for dinner, at the dinner table for Christmas evening, whatnot. But it's just fun to paint trees. It's very hard to mess them up. Green is such a beautiful color. So I have today, feel free to grab whatever greens you have. I have a plethora of greens in my palette today. I have a Hooker's Green Dark, I have a Hooker's Green Light, I have Sap Green, and I have a Permanent Green. Mostly I'm going to be mixing the Hooker's Green Dark, which is this one, and then I'm going to be mixing the Sap Green. This is that Permanent Green. It's definitely a little bit more springy green, but it also looks nice. So, and then I'm going to use a little bit of a brown. We are going to do a little bit of wet on wet with some of them, so you can play with that. And then others, again, we're going to just do wet on dry, because there's definitely more of a control with this. Now, when I first did the go around, I just was painting on a piece of paper and then cutting them out. And that's why we have little ones that are kind of cattywampus in the cutting. And so now I thought we're going to get smarter about this, and I just cut out a bunch of pieces of paper to the size that I wanted them to. I've got some with some paint smudges, not a big deal. This is the perfect kind of project if you have some oddly shaped paper lying around. So grab your paper, your paintbrushes, and let's do some painting. The other thing was, you'll see how small this guy was on the paper, and that's why I wanted to put another piece of paper behind him. It just seemed to kind of get swallowed up. So with a slightly larger piece, this is a 4x6 cut in half, so what, 2x3. This will just have a different look to it as well. So whatever, again, play with sizes depending on what you want to do with your beautiful Christmas trees, or maybe you just want to paint them and create bookmarks for yourself. That's fun too. Okay, now, if you want to use a micron pen, it will definitely create a more neat and classy, I would say, sort of painting. So I'm going to show you how to do that first. Okay, so I'm going to pull this in a little bit more so you can see this. And so if I was going to use my pen, I'm going to just do a nice simple tree. Actually, let me go down here, do my trunk so I can kind of build up and out. And I am not even going to worry about doing too much detail. I might do some individual little needles, but the point today too is really just to enjoy mixing the paints, creating a tree out of a couple of colors. But you can see I can just put like kind of a boundary line with that, some boundary lines. The other way to do it is just to take a pencil, and that way the lines of the micron pen are not going to show up at all. And then again, I'm going to do a very light sketch. I have my trunk down here, and that's actually about all I'm going to do, because this is going to get all the pencil will get covered up completely by my paint. I'm going to pull this back because I'm going to paint them together side by side so you can just see with me what that's going to look like. And we're going to do the first one. We will do some wet on wet. Now for the wet on wet, I don't do a lot of that. Again, there's much less control, which is not my favorite thing. I mean, so many things in life. We're just gonna get the tree wet, just a little bit of, not drenched, but just get the whole tree a bit wet. I just feel like there's so much in life that we don't have control over. So I can control my attitude and I can control how I paint, right? And so that's why I often like to do wet on dry, or wet on dry. But now that we have this, if you're feeling just a little more abstracty, let's go ahead and put some paint down. A little bit different, you want to start on the outside and go in, so the paint will end up merging in. So I just start going inside with my paint. I'll bring this in a little bit more. And again, I didn't get it super wet. And again, going in, letting this paint start to dance together. Usually with my trees, I'm painting the other way with the dry. And then I'm going to actually just dab in the middle here. I probably could have gotten that a little bit wet. So if you got your paper more wet than I did, you're going to see more dancing of the colors. They might be flying all over the place too. And you can always take a dry brush and just bring a little bit more control into the painting. Okay, I'm going to go out for a couple here. I'll get some more water and I'll just actually just dab the water. And that's another way if you want a little bit wetter. Just dab some water around, and then let's pick up some more paint. I'm going to go back into my Hooker's dark green, and then once again go out and bring it in. And then I'm coming out again. And you can just take your time. It's very, very rhythmic creating these pretty trees. Make sure at the top we have a nice pointy top. Don't be afraid just to let some white color in as well. We don't have to create color in every bit. Okay, I'm going to grab my darker bit now, and I'm going to pull some of the darker out. And I'm going to get more of that darker Hooker's green dark. And again, just pull it out, out, out. And now I'm going to get a little bit of brown. I'm going to pull some brown. I'm using a raw umber today, and I'm going to start at the bottom and then work my way up. I know some of the brown is going to get into the green, and that is just fine. I'm even going to dip a little bit of brown where maybe that tree trunk, you might see little bits of the tree trunk. I'm going to just not even going to rinse the brush. I'm going to pick up some more green and then just add in a few more beautiful branches. Okay, so there we go. So that's a little bit more of wet on wet. You can see there's a little bit of just variations in color, and we can come back as well and add some detail. Now let's shift over here. I'm going to put this guy up to the side. We'll bring this guy in now, and we're just going to do a couple of these together. I do want to show you too how fast it can be to move through these. It's actually just a lot of fun to do. I think it's fun to do several at a time. And it's not only calming, but we're going to start up at the top and we're going in to out this time. I think you kind of get this feeling of it was a lot of fun and you feel a little bit productive. You know, I always like that. It's very satisfying to create something with your hands. Okay. I made some gingerbread cookie dough earlier today. It is in the fridge. This is the one that has to sit for a couple of hours or overnight before baking. It's one of my favorite recipes to make every Christmas season. Okay, I love sugar cookies, but I really like the spiciness of the gingerbread cookies. Okay, and again, you can see with this one, I'm just kind of, instead of letting it soak together, I'm just creating almost more of individual leaves. Now what I'm going to come back and do is I'm going to grab my sap green. I'm getting a lot of color. So you can see here, I'm getting quite a bit of color there. I'm going to come back at the top and I'm just going to dab a little bit all the way down. Pick up some more water and just do a little bit of dabbing. More water, more paint, and letting some of the branches pick up, again, more paint, a different look, right? This is going to be just a little bit cleaner. And I like that. That's really pretty. I've got a couple individual branches you can see over here. If even too you want to do a little bit of splattering of the green, super fun. Let's pick up a little bit of brown. And I'm just going to dab right down here too. I'll leave in a little bit of white, and then I'm going to come back just a little bit of brown here and here, that maybe we could see a bit of our branches. And that's all I'm going to do with that one. And I'm going to move him over to the side. And then we'll pull up another one. And this one, I think with this guy is, let's go ahead. I'm going to try that wet on wet again. So with this one, I'm not even, well, I guess I'll sketch a little bit. I was going to say, I'm not even going to sketch. We're just going to go crazy. I'm going to put the top of my tree here. And then just the edges where I'm going to bring it out to, and my little trunk here at the bottom. And this one, maybe we'll make it more like a Douglas fir. Those are, I think, are the ones that are a bit wider. So I'll just create my edges, and you can see it's very light. Just so you can see where I created those marks. And so again, my water is a little bit green, but I'm not too worried about that. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to get a little bit more watery this time. Now, the ideally with the wet on wet is it shouldn't go anywhere where there's dry, where it's not wet. So let's see if that will work here. I'm always nervous it's going to go off the tree. So now that we have that, it's wet on wet, I'm just going to pick up some green. And then once again, come back. You can even, we'll just start in the middle here. And you see how the water is, I do have it wetter. So let's get another kind of color. That was a hooker's green. I'm going to go ahead and get some of the sap green. And I'm going to just let that move. And then I'm going to go from the outside in and start creating some branches. And on the other side, it's a little bit harder sometimes to go from the outside in, at least for me, if where it's not my dominant hand. And you can really see the watercolor playing together. Pick up some more paint. And once again, I'm going to bring it in and out. And that looks really pretty, doesn't it? Very watercolory. And I'll go on this side. I am going to bring that out a little bit. And let's do that again on this side. Again, you're getting that color, especially like the Douglas firs. They are such thick trees. I grew up with a lot of silvertip, which are my mom loves silvertip. I think especially because you can really see the decorations because they hang in between all the branches. But I do love the thickness of Douglas firs as well. There's so many different kinds. Isn't it balsam? I think is one of them. There's lots of different kinds of trees. It's pretty amazing. Okay, let's pick up our brown, and I'm not even rinsing my brush. I just stepped the green right into the brown, and that came out to make a very dark color, but that is just fine. I'm going to go ahead and create a thicker trunk. Okay, and now again, you can see as we put them next to each other, just the difference. And by this time, maybe you're thinking, okay, I have a style I like. I like maybe the more abstract-y style, the more watercolory, or maybe you want a little bit more of a cleaner style. And then you can just keep going. So I think, and again, we have been painting just about 10 minutes, just a little bit over. I'm going to do just a little bit of darker color in here. I'm going to do a couple little dots down here. Just a bit. And we've already done quite a few. So you could just continue on and on with these. And I find these, like, I love to paint wreaths. I'm probably going to come back with another video with the wreaths, but wreaths, you know, with the, you don't want a wreath that's not a circle, that's like going off. It just takes more concentration and effort. I think I love the tree so much because it is something that you can just relax into and just enjoy. Let's do one more together. And on this one, I think I'll add a couple of ornaments. And so I'll show you how I do that. Now, it's a little more challenging to do that on wet. However, I can do that much easier when I'm doing wet on dry. So I've got my tree base here. I'm going to pick up some green, my sap green here, and bring that down. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to intentionally leave a lot more white space out. Let me grab my trunk here so I know how deep I'm going to go. Or I'll put my trunk here, and I think I'll have a little bit of a taller trunk this time. So I've got that trunk right there. Bring this up, at least a little bit of brown in here. I'm going to pull some more green in. Like this. All right, so now that we have this guy, he's looking very nice. Okay, I've got lots of branches that are sticking out. You could always too add in a little bit more detail. You can take the edge of your brush, and I'm using a size 2 today. Just go like this all the way on some of those branches, show that thickness. Now what I'm going to do is I will grab a pencil here because I do want to just tuck in a couple of bulbs. So I'm going to sketch in a ball here. I'm going to put one over here. I'll have one here. And I know I'll pull in the camera in just a second here. 1, 2, 3. If you just want like an odd number. So maybe I'll have one sticking out over here. And I'll put one down right down here. You'll see, and I'll pull this up too, that what I've done, for example, you can see that's pretty much a whole ball, but most of these I'm hiding them under the branches. So then you want to think to yourself, okay, is this dry enough where I can put on my colors and it's okay if they merge a little bit, or wait for it completely to dry if you're concerned that it's not going to, that the colors are going to merge. For example, if you're going to do red, let it dry for just a quick second there. I'm going to pull out a blue. I think what I'll do is I will pull out a blue. I just got back. I was traveling and brought my paints with me. Did I paint? I did not, but you know, I like to be prepared. Okay, so let me grab some blue, and I believe this is a cerulean blue that I'm pulling. Actually, no, yeah, it is. So it's a lighter blue, kind of like a sky blue. And I'm pretty sure it's the cerulean. And I am just going to go around. I'm gonna leave a little bit of white so it looks like the light is shining off of them. And I'm just kind of dabbing too. Just like that. Now, if you wanted to let it completely dry, you could probably do some ornaments in between here too, but I just wanted it a little bit. Not a lot, just a little bit. I'm actually going to add some of that blue to the green. And then I'm going to come back in here and add just a little bit more detail, a little bit more color to the inside of the tree, and then just down here below. And there we go. We have another really lovely tree. So with this now, I will go ahead and I will add it. For example, this one's really pretty. I might add it on here. Let me pull this back. so you can see that one. Or maybe you can kind of play. These, I will say, I did buy this particular paperback last year. I think I saw one, either the exact one at Michael's or one very similar to it. But there's paper packs. They're fairly inexpensive, but they are fun. I really don't scrapbook, but I like to make just some cards. Also, I'm thinking too, I have Christmas cards, but the Christmas cards I don't get sent, I can send these out, and they're kind of like, they don't look overly Christmassy, right? They look like kind of like the winter season, or maybe even New Year's, that sort of thing. So I hope you enjoy these. These are so much fun to paint, so relaxing and super pretty. Again, they could be gift cards or gift tags. They could be tags for the dinner table, name cards. You could put these in the mail. You can create bookmarks, whatever you want to do. Or you can make your own cards out of them. These ones are big enough too that you can just write something, a little bit, something on the back and stick it in the mail. Whatever you do with them, I hope you have fun, relaxing this season, this week, as we head right into the week of Christmas. I will see you guys